We live in a new world. Not with an order from some movie or some novel. We live in a new world not with some sort of alien simulation. Possibly unfortunately for some people, but mostly we live in this earth. We live on this planet called the world, called here in Seattle, Washington, a state. And to be very specific, where I am now in a city. And in the old days, in the roaring 20s, maybe 100 years ago, or maybe the 1900s, or maybe 1984 when I was born. And there was a telephone, and there was a phone booth, and there was a restaurant, and there was people who liked to talk to each other. And people dated, and people met spontaneously, and people had fun. People still have fun, to be fair. But nowadays, you gotta make sure people know my hands are down here, but they're not causing problems. I pray that's clear enough, because I don't want the audio to get messed up by the visual experience of consciousness people want so badly and need so desperately, especially when they've been drug addicts their whole lives, or maybe just drug addicts for a few weeks. And what I'm trying to describe has to do with technology. This cell phone here that I'm recording on, this finger pointing at the cell phone, and our new learning that takes place with being nice and loving your cell phone, loving your cell phone. Because you can't date. Maybe with a computer, maybe forget the telephone, the cell phone. You can't date without a computer or some internet. Unless you're rich and famous, and I don't know, maybe there's still speakeasies where people go and have big, huge parties. But for a person like me with cancer, having had cancer, okay, I got the tumor removed, but it's not cured. I could get it back. I have to describe all of these circumstances. I gotta describe my challenge of going to MIT to be a neurosurgeon and to have a business called Blue Circle Technology. Because people don't live in a world anymore where our reward, where our stimulus occurs in public. Except maybe in those small towns where I'm not allowed to go. And I'm not allowed to go because I've been locked up here in Seattle. And please prove me wrong. Send me to Alaska. Send me to a place where it's normal, where you can live like a human being again. But here in Seattle, you only got one option for housing if you got Social Security disability, or 3 jobs, or 2 jobs. Because when you have 1 job in Seattle, Washington, you're rich. You pay thousands of dollars for rent, have what you want, and live in utopia. But have you ever lived in a place where the utopia and the rest of the people are so far apart that they eventually disappear. And it feels like there's ghosts. It feels like there's bodies. But no awareness and no attention for health, for love, for happiness. So how do you get the history involved with this dilemma? Technology, dating, high rents, huge amounts of work, jobs, time, so gone. It's like a movie. It's like a silence when the bully doesn't hit the wall. Aha. It's a recognition. It's understanding. But we used to need psychology, we used to need psychiatry so precise and so restrained. We had hospitals everywhere. We had asylums. We had places for insanity because we had to take care of everybody. But everybody now are not the same as me, who gets bullied, who gets distracted by a landlord, not any other option. I either enjoy what I'm doing here at this prison-like building, or I go be homeless with the thugs and the blood and the guts everywhere, trying not to step on needles. And I use my cognitive ability to think and to use thought to try to help people get through this mess and not go crazy and not get frustrated mostly. Because sometimes crazy is funny. You make a comedy joke, you're crazy, you're Joe Rogan, you know, you're hilarious. You make enough money to buy a zillion cars. And plead your case for climate change, maybe. Not to poke fun, because I like them, but I mean, let's get down to it. Okay, well, I don't own a car. I take the bus. I am candidate number 1 for climate change, but so restricted. A person like Joe Rogan would not be able to live in this place. A person like Mr. President Donald Trump would not be able to live in this place with his family. So now what? There's these big famous names. There's a video making a long recording. But there's no acknowledgement for the amount of change and the amount of clarity we've all received from this same video device, this cellular phone. And it has to do with our reward system. Stimulus, reward. I don't have a scratchy face anymore. But too much distraction, you start scratching your face and you're not getting a reward anymore, you're getting pain. You're getting suffering. End part 1.